go ahead and start, like, as if it was a recording whenever y'all ready.
Yeah, you can go ahead and just roll it even before we get started.
Right.
Yeah, there we go.
It's on Jordan?
Yeah, it's on there now.
Oh, I see my big body. We live. We for sure. YouTube know what's up.
Jordan, you've been losing weight, don't?
Until I get in here and start drinking Hennessy. and eating donuts.
You got Hennessy and donuts. That's awesome.
We got some chicken wings.
All right.
We rolling? We ready? You gotta put some books and all that. Hand me that.
Is this in the way? You want me to get this?
No,
out
but
here?
we want to put your book up while we're talking.
She hand me that.
Oh yes, yes, sir.
Mask too.
I did just in case. I didn't know if you all had requirements.
Can't show them signs until we get some sponsorship.
What?
Liquor sponsorship.
I'm going for round 2 here.
Help yourself. I didn't know how
Oh,
much
it got the words on there and everything.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I'm going to start on you, Boo. Whenever you're ready for the intro.
Let's go. It's running?
Yep.
What up? It's your host, Vuskeen, a.k.a. Fatback Jackson. Ooh, with my co-host.
Jordan Lee. F it, it's just me.
And we got the anchor in this building. Chucky Russell.
What's happening, people?
And this is the Cookout Podcast.
The world's most secure podcast.
How we all feeling?
We feeling good.
Good, man.
We bought some donuts from Muterspaw.
Thank you. I appreciate
Feeling
that.
great.
We got some chicken. We got some chicken from Auntie. Shout out to Auntie.
Yeah, she ain't mad at us this week, huh?
Yeah, y'all
Right.
made y'all's calls and y'all made right. So she blessed us
Thank
with
y'all.
some
Thank
hot
y'all for
wings.
speaking on our behalf.
Yeah.
Some hot wings.
I shot her a couple texts last week. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? Just to show I love her. You know. So we good.
I still ain't went by there, so she probably not fucking with me, but it's okay.
How everybody feeling?
Feeling good.
We had a dope weekend.
Mm-hmm. I became a year older.
Yes. Cinco
Happy
de
birthday.
Mayo. Yes.
35.
birthday.
Big 35.
Oh,
Jeez,
goodness.
Yeah.
She said my good.
Crazy.
And we had the show with Revolution X. Our
Big-
homeboy Kevin Cordero.
Nice,
Yes.
big success.
Yeah.
It was awesome. If
I-
nobody
I-
A
can
lot of
come
people
out.
showed out,
Yeah, a lot,
though, like
yeah.
more than what we thought. Like I ain't even gonna lie.
It was a beautiful, beautiful event. There was no fighting. There was no chaos.
It was all love.
It was all love. And, that's what we fear. So when it doesn't happen,
Right.
we can clap it up.
Look like
But
the old
shout out to
Middletown.
Kev.
Look like the old Middletown.
Yeah, really, really. And there was so many people from out of town. So
Right.
many people that came into
Well,
town to show us
Middletown.
love.
Right.
So
And we trying to put something together at Barnett's in a few months. But I ain't gonna lay out all the details for
Not
all that
yet.
right now.
Don't give 'em
right
too
now
much.
we waiting on paperwork to get the permits and all that type of stuff. So I think it's gonna be real dope.
all right. Well, y'all got something to look forward to.
Uh-huh. What's up, man? I see y'all.
What's
Everybody
going
got their
on,
shirt.
man?
I ain't get the memo. Everybody got on these
What?
shirts that stand. I just came in with plain
I'm
gray.
with you, man.
I am
You
rocking.
got an Under Armour on yours. I ain't got nothing on mine.
No, this is
Plain Jane.
Middy's own.
Uh-huh.
Beautiful Disaster Custom Creations.
Okay.
Brandy Glover.
Okay. Shout out to
Okay.
Brandy.
Shout out. She made a cup for me last year that I
Okay.
just picked up today when I picked up the shirt. But I support. But my shirt is cute. It says, "I love being black. It is shit is dangerous, but it's lit as
Just kind of dangerous.
it's lit AF." So it's a good little. It's better than the F12 shirt I was gonna wear up in here. So
You could have wore it. It's all right.
Them was a good.
Expressing yourself.
Them was good. That was a good.
look,
That
I
was a good
want
design.
everybody to tune in, and I don't want anybody to be offended.
Okay. Chucky got on. Rest in peace, Tupac, Poetic Justice, finest. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What you got on the feet?
Oh man, dog, I gotta go ahead. I just throw the foot up.
With a shoe cam.
Shoe cam.
Yeah. Who put him on to the ones, man? He's telling me yesterday, like, man, they real comfortable, man.
They
Yeah,
comfortable.
I know. You know I know.
Man, I always had bad luck with Jordans, man. Every Jordan I done had always hurt my feet.
What's your favorite sneaker?
Oh, Adidas.
Adidas.
It was always Adidas growing up. Yeah. Well, it's Converse when I was a kid, but it's Adidas now. So.
I'm a Chuck kid.
Yeah.
So if you just now tuning in to the Cookout, we always bring some family, some friends, acquaintances on to talk about where they been, what they doing now, and where they going. So today we switched it up because I put up a post earlier saying we done have former trappers, former hot girls, former ball players and stuff like that. And it created
current trappers and current hot girls.
Yeah, that too. And it created a discussion, about why we got this man on the show. But us being pillars in this community, this man is running for city council.
Right.
So everybody with us, we got to hold you accountable. So we just had him on to pick his brain, to see where his head at and stuff like that. So we want to welcome former police chief Rodney Muterspaw.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes.
You're like a celebrity. You've been making your rounds on
podcasts. I don't know about it's cool though. I'm having fun with it, and people they're good, man. It's good people to get out and talk truth with. And that's what you do this for, to talk truth.
So the first thing I want to dig into is this book.
Okay.
The Blue View. I had a chance to listen to it. Most of y'all know I ain't got nothing but time on my hands because I started a janitorial company. So I'm always trying to find new things to listen to. So I listened to the book, and usually we say like the drug dealer or the person that's in the streets is doing a lot of they can do a lot of telling if they not playing the game fair.
Right.
But in your book, you told a lot of things. You told a lot of things.
Yeah.
A lot of things that I didn't know that went down.
Yeah.
So tell us like what made you come up with the book, and some of the things that you talked about in the book.
Well, to start, I was, I'm a Middletown guy, so I went to the academy, went to the police academy after I got out of college. I was playing ball there, and I left and went to the academy, and I was in there one day, and I had no desire to be a cop growing up. I had family that was police, but, we grew up pretty poor, I want to say, and I grew up on the Hill Crawford Street kid, and that's where I'm from, and originally from Trenton.
Right.
But, Mackey's too, man. Mackey's too. They took care of me on patrol when I was a young cop. So anyway. So I was, I grew up in there, so I just always wanted to do something different, and didn't want to be a cop. I wanted to be a math teacher and a basketball coach. That was my goal when I was a kid.
Okay.
So when I went to, I ended up getting bored with school, like a lot of people do, like my son did, and I thought, well, I'll take the police test, and I'll be damned if they didn't hire me, right? So I got hired, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I was pretty green, and when I was in the academy, one of the commanders, he said to me, or he was telling the class, he said, I wish I would have kept a diary, he called it, because he's getting ready to retire. He's like 65 years old. He said, of everything I ever did. And I was like, damn, that's a good idea. So I started writing, like and back then it was on notepad of paper or pen. Now it's iPhone, and I started writing everything I saw, experienced, and lived. And then I was writing for fun, right? But by the end of it, man, I was writing for therapy.
Right.
What I saw and what the things I experienced and things I did. And if you read the book, I think you see I wasn't always proud of things that I did. You know what I meant? I wasn't always proud of stuff I did. And I put that in there. And some of it, I have a lot of friends in the city and around, and they're like, man, I can't believe you put that shit out there in that book. And I was like, well, it's the truth, though, because if you take away from it, it's no longer true.
Right.
And so I put everything in there, and, I got a lot of questions about it, and the book kind of just blew up on us. Clarence Page, a lot of people don't know who Clarence Page is, but he's a legend, man. He's a Chicago Tribune. He was the first black editor of the school paper. From Middletown High School back in the 60s. And we struck up a friendship over this book on Zoom because he's older and he didn't want to get COVID, so we was doing it over Zoom. And he did a blurb on the book and wrote about it from the Chicago Tribune. And then J.D. Vance, who did Hillbilly Elegy, he did the same. And it just blew up.
Yeah.
So it just took off, man, and we couldn't keep up. But the book is just full of truth. I can tell you there's some most police officers like the book because they felt it humanized them, guys I worked with for years. But there's some cops that, that hate it because they felt I gave away secrets. And, to me, when you're in that line of work, there are no secrets. Right. You just, if you do things right and you treat people right, there's no secrets. And that's kind of why the book came to play. So we put it out there, and I'm proud of it. I mean, to me, it's a legacy. And my grandkids and their kids, one day down 30 years, that'll still be around when I'm long dead and gone. So hopefully that's not anytime soon. I drink a lot of bourbon, so it might be soon. But it's but it'd be gone. But it's something that it's just I'm proud of it, and that how it kind of took off, and to get be on podcast out in Los Angeles and Houston, Texas, about this book is just amazing. And I'll tell you one of the cool things, and I was telling some friends of mine, all the former police officers and community that really like it kind of validated. But what validated it for me more than Clarence or JD was there's an activist out in Los Angeles area, and I did a podcast with him, and I'll link it to you guys. You guys can listen to it. And he emailed me to be on the show. He said, I don't like the police. I'm gonna let you know. And I get it. He's in Los Angeles. I get it. Different world. Right. And we kind of were talking back and forth a little bit on email. And he said, well, I want to get you on the show. So I went on the show. But before I went on the show, he actually read the book because he said he hadn't read it yet. And he read the book, and he told me, he said, he goes, I'm going to tell you right now, I still don't like y'all. I give him respect for that. That's cool. He said, but that gave me a whole new compromise between us where I can understand why you guys do some of the shit that you do. He said, I don't agree with it all the times, but it tells me why. And he goes, I never had that why before, and that answered it. So to me, that kind of was important more than anything, that I got validation from a guy out in L.A. Who hated the police, but he says, I still don't like y'all, but I understand you all better. Right. And that's what I was looking for. I wanted to humanize it. And that book is really personal. I know you listened to it. There's a lot of shit about my personal life, too, that and stuff I dealt with growing up and as a young officer. So that's kind of why the book's out there, and I'm proud of it. I mean, I still get some haters on it, and that's okay. Right. But they keep buying it, so you can hate all you want on it. So.
My thing was, I was wondering, like, I mean, of course you didn't say no names, but some of these stories you was telling about certain cops, I'm like, man, I know they probably read the book like, man, that was me. Yeah. Like I did that. I did that messed up thing. And some of the things you said that you did might have been criminals. Not right, because you might have been like, not thinking straight. Yeah. But for most part, you tried to do, what was right. Yeah. Coming from where I come from, we kind of torn because it's like that saying, like, you got this group full of promiscuous women. Mm-hmm. Everybody gonna be promiscuous, even if you the good apple out of that bunch. Mm-hmm. So we kind of look at all hoes. Right. I'm acting like I'm trying to clean up my words. Like
trying
this,
to be nice.
Like
we got Muterspaw in here drinking Hennessy. Right. Let's just keep it all the way real.
But I think we always look at it like, it's a couple good cops, but it's more bad ones. Yeah. Right. So we just look at everybody like they bad.
Yeah. Well, how many years were you on the police force
30.
Before becoming the chief?
24 maybe. I turned a chief, I think I was 45. So I was young. That's most chiefs are in their 50s. So I was young. So I think I was 45. So I was 24 years maybe.
24 years.
And I worked in patrol, and then I was in the schools for a few years. You guys remember Officer Davis? I don't know. You remember him? But I worked with him and did some stuff, and then he was a good dude. And then I actually worked in the drug unit. I was in charge of the drug unit for 4 years. So that's when we kind of jumped on and did the cartel stuff and stuff out of Mexico, and it was crazy. And at one case, we put 19 people in federal prison because they were having people killed for snitching. It was a weird time. So I've done all that, but then I went into supervision. And but still, my best memories are days on patrol, just working in a car with somebody, having a good time, and that kind of stuff. And you brought up a good point. I mean, you really did about the bad apples and things like that. And we've always said, and I think the general consensus in the nation right now is, a good. You can say, hey, there's good cops, but if they don't report bad cops, they're bad cops too, right?
Thank you. Silence.
Okay, and that's true. I mean, that is true. And one thing I always try to tell people they don't know because we don't put it out there, and maybe the police should do a better job of doing it, is I can tell you about the last 7 or 8 people I fired, it was because other cops reported them. Mm-hmm. But the media don't report that. Right. And that's one of the things, and we really don't push it out there. Maybe we should do a better job of that as police agencies. So I get where you're coming from. I do. And
because you hear about that blue code, that blue wall. Yeah,
right. And that does exist.
In arms,
that does exist.
We're not going to tell on each other.
It does exist, and I tell people it does exist. And if when you read the book in my early days, I don't shy away from saying I was part of that at times. And you get caught up in that because here's the thing, and it doesn't make it right. But let me tell you, right now, if I'm this guy next to me on this call, if I'm getting my ass kicked, or I have somebody shooting at me, that's the guy that's going to protect me and save my life with me. Right. So you feel an honor to stick with what he does. But sometimes it gets to that point when you're like, I can't protect you anymore. I gotta.
Right.
And I think that's what you're seeing. I think you're seeing a transition. And I will tell you, and whether people believe it or not, I can tell you, the last group I fired, which was a lot from Middletown Police, it was because other officers stepped up and said, "This fucker's got to go, man." And this is what, and it was like, okay. And so we took care of business. Unions make that hard. And I try to tell people that. Unions make that very hard because I know in Cincinnati at one point, they had 10 officers fired, and I think 8 out of the 10 got their job back because they had a great attorney that got their job back. So you're always battling that as well. And so it's complex, and it's easier said than done. But as a chief, and I had a lot of respect around the nation as a chief because I spoke out on things. But I also had a lot of haters because of that too, and you're going to get that. So I see, I feel you on that. I do.
Now, was it easier doing the Blue View now that you are no longer the police chief? Because
yeah, there's no names in there because my attorney advised me.
I'm about to say, because you didn't put any names out there.
My attorney was the first one who read it, and he was like, and I wouldn't do that anyway, and here's why. Because that's just my view.
Right.
Doesn't mean that's exactly what happened, because I might be with somebody that viewed it different. So if us three are hanging out,
Right.
and you pop in, and we're doing something, you see something. Oh, shit, there's my Hennessy.
Too drunk.
It's all good.
And I'm more concerned about the Hennessy than the microphone.
That's all right.
Party foul.
So okay. So anyway, thank you, brother. It's one of these things where you my view might be different than somebody else's who was there. Just because I saw it one way, don't mean that you saw it that way.
Right.
And so you got to be careful with that. But it was one of these things where, even at the end of the day, that's my experiences, and I make that clear in the book. These are my views, my experiences as a police officer, and I think going up to the chief level gave it a lot more credibility, is what I've been told from people who have read it. So, yeah.
Right.
I appreciate you speaking on the guy out from L.A.
Yeah.
who wanted to involve you in that conversation, but was very honest in saying,
I'm going to owe y'all a new mic.
You can afford it.
You're going to owe Fredo the new mic. You're going to owe us the Hennessy.
I'll give him a shot of Hennessy.
I'll hook you up. I'll give you the bottle and a new mic. How's that? Anyway, so go ahead.
That he said what he said. Like you said, L.A., different world.
Yeah.
I tell people all the time, growing up in Middletown, and then living in Charlotte, North Carolina for 7 years, and dealing with Mecklenburg County police officers in the South, very different. And I've always raved about Middletown Police Force because I feel like you all have always policed the community in which that you lived in. You know, I get pulled over and I'm like, oh my God, it's tempted. I went to high school with you. Like, it's you know what I mean? It's just it's different. It's different.
Yeah.
But what do you have to say about when we leave Middletown?
Yeah.
You know, like I've never, and I could be completely wrong, have dealt with me or any family members who I know have done wrong and been criminals and gotten in trouble with the police. They have never felt like police brutality or that they were just beaten up by the, you know what I mean, just did so dirty by the police. And other police departments don't necessarily have that reputation for themselves. Yeah. So when I'm in the high schools and talking with kids and they're not, Middletown is such a special place.
It is.
They're not really getting the gravity of being black behind the wheel or black walking down the street in another neighborhood other than Middletown. Yeah. What can you say to that? Just the differences from police departments to the police departments and how we want to think that it's all police and they just fear black people. But then when you're in this bubble of a small town and you're like, no, they don't. How do you tell the person that's going to be leaving to go to college in a year or two and they're going to be in a different city and that all police aren't like small town, Middletown police?
I can answer that 100 different ways. Number one, if you look at hiring, which is a big thing for me, I always did my best, and it didn't always work out. I always tried to hire people that were from Middletown or like Middletown, whether they're from Hamilton or even Fairfield, somewhere that was Trotwood, and like diverse communities, I guess I should say. And the reason I did that was because I tried my best, because those people that are hired from those places, they're used to everybody, different cultures. When you hire somebody, let's say from a Mason or a Blue Ash or somewhere, you're not going to get that because they're not around. And I've experienced that with new hires where I've said, hey, we hired this kid, and I had one kid, and I ain't going to say his name, but he was the nicest kid in the world.
Shout him out.
I can't. It would be wrong. It'd be wrong to him and his family. No, he didn't do anything bad. It's just where he was raised. I bet the population of people of color was probably 2% or 1%. And he would go on calls, and he came in and he resigned. And I was like, you know, we put a lot of money and time into you, man. He's like, I just can't do it. I go to these people's houses and these fights, and there's a lot of black people, and they're yelling at everybody, and they're yelling at me. I'm like, and he's like, I just don't know. Are they mad at me? And I'm like, no, it's nobody's mad at you. It's, you know, and he's never been around other cultures. And when you deal with that, now that's something that doesn't come out in background checks. That's something that doesn't come out in polygraphs. That doesn't come out in interviews.
We need like a Teach for America, but for police.
Yes. And that's the kind of things you deal with. I will tell you, the people in Middletown are lucky because we have police officers here. I always think about somebody like Holly Owens or, you know, different people that truly love everybody, and they don't pick at anybody. And, you know, and I've said this for years. Other cities, like the big cities, like what you saw happen in Minneapolis, everybody says training. They need more training. They need more training. No, bullshit. We train the hell out of people. That's a character and heart issue. That's a character and heart issue. You can't train character and heart.
Right.
You just can't. That's internal. Like that dude leaning on that guy for 9 minutes. I've been in that situation 100 times because everybody's like, well, you're speaking out on it. I said, because I've done that. I've been in that situation where crowds gathered around me, and I got a dude on the ground. I'm trying to get cuffed and get him in the car. But you know what you do? You get him cuffed, you get him in the car, you get him to the hospital. You don't sit on him for 9 minutes and grin at the crowd.
Right.
Like, yeah,
that's a character.
Wasn't he in the car first? Then they
he
got
was,
him
but
out?
I'm still getting him
yeah.
out. I'm
like,
getting him
why
out
would
there.
they take him out the
I
car?
don't know.
Yeah, like, that's what I didn't understand.
And when people say, well, you got to been there, I said, yeah, I have been there. And the funny thing is, it's harder for a guy like me that's a hometown guy because I'd be in front of the BNR, the equestrian, or, you know, the VFW, and I'd have a guy on the ground, and I'm trying to get him cuffed, and everybody's around me, and they're yelling my name because they know me. They're like, Muterspaw, come on, man, let him go. I'm like, I can't let him go. He's got warrants. And so these are people I play ball with.
I'm at work right now, guys. I'm at work right now.
I played ball with, you know, and I'm like, so, but the point is, I got him up. I didn't sit on him for 9 minutes, and that's a character and heart issue. So when you have that evil inside of you, hey, no training is going to take that away from you. And if people need to understand that.
Right.
I can train all day long, but if I don't like you because you're black and I'm white, there's no training going to change that. There's no cultural diversity training. There's no that you're born or not born. You're raised like that.
Raised like that.
And that's what I try to tell people. So you got to try to find a way in the hiring process to eliminate that some way, and we haven't found it yet. Right. It's that simple. And but that's why it's good to try to hire people that are in communities that grew up in communities like your community. Right. I think that makes a difference because I can walk into this room right now and I'm comfortable as hell.
Right.
I'm drinking with y'all, I'm eating, I'm spilling drinks. But that's because I was raised here.
Right.
Now, if I take a guy from some place that's not raised around other people and he's only like his own, then he's going to be uncomfortable. And that's anything in life.
Right.
It is. And so that's just an honest, truthful answer I could give to you, I guess.
And that's perfect because I'm one of those people that scream, more training, more training.
Right.
Why is police academy such and such time, but it takes this much
No,
time
you're right.
to
Police
become,
academy's not long enough.
You know, it's like, but it makes perfect sense. But that's a heart and character issue.
It's a heart and character, and you can't change that.
We're not trained police officers at all, but we know better than to hold our leg on somebody's neck for 10 damn minutes. You know what I mean? Like,
but I will say about that situation in Minneapolis, I can tell you, and maybe you heard it, saw it, but I never did, is I didn't see one police officer that I know defend that dude.
Yeah.
Not one cop I know said, oh, well, it wasn't that. Everybody's like, what the fuck was he doing?
Right.
I mean, so it's, and I think that's one of those things where, and we all were relieved that he was found guilty. I can tell you that because it was like, man, because, you know, at this point, we don't want people to hate us. You want people to we want to work with people. And when those kind of things happen, as a cop, you're like, because I remember, I think I wrote in a book, I was 22 years old when Rodney King happened. All right, we're 2,800 miles from Los Angeles, right? And this dude gets hit 52 times with nightsticks and tased, and there was 12 cops there, whatever it was. And the whole time I'm thinking, I'm a brand new young cop, right? I had black hair and earrings in, man, different world. And I was a young cop, and even me thinking, why can't they just cuff that dude?
Right.
There's 12
Some of it is.
And everybody's like, well, he's on PCP. I said, there's 12 of you.
Right.
You can cuff him and get him out of there. But the point is, we felt that here in Middletown. That was my first experience feeling like, because as a Middletown guy, and everybody said, did you experience racism in Middletown growing up as a white dude? Because I hung around. Okay, the black community was my people because basketball. Right. It just was. And those were right. They treated me good. I was poor. The black community welcomed me, and I talk about it in the book. They welcomed me into their homes. They never made me feel like I was different. And I said, I experienced racism. Everybody's like, how'd you experience it? I said, well, I said, I was at Douglas Park playing basketball, and I had a Larry Bird jersey on. And Dwight Smith, who's one of my good friends now, he played football for the Buckeyes, and he's just an incredible dude, man. And he was like, you can't wear that shit out here, man. Got a Bird jersey. So that's my joke. It was racist.
You can't be white.
Yeah, he said, you can't wear Larry Bird out here.
Right.
I was like, man, come on. And so, but we joke about it to this day. But it's really, it's how you're raised, man. And it's how you, I think it's how you view.
Act like you don't want to eat on camera.
You know what? I'm into this conversation.
Yeah. You can eat a chicken wing. It's all right.
They trying to make fun of me.
Are they really?
Because I'm usually like.
So, Muterspaw, another thing too, me getting to listen to the book, and this is like a fresh situation too. You spoke about a situation where a woman came at you with a knife.
Yeah.
We just had a situation like that in Columbus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I mean, there's some people that's kind of like, on the fence about it. Like, if that was my daughter, I wouldn't have did nothing, or I don't think that he still should have shot her, taser and stuff like that. I mean, what's your whole take on that?
The situation I had was a little bit different, and I'm going to say, than this guy. And I actually felt sorry for this cop. I really did, because, and I'll get to that, but my situation, it happened to me more than once. But this situation was a crowd of about 100 people, and it was down at the Main Street. I'm sorry, the 18th Avenue projects. And we get sent there, and it's packed. And there's probably, I'm not kidding you, man. Back in the day, everybody was on the corner, so it was probably 100 people out there. And we get out, and the call was this lady was going to it was a disturbance. Some lady was mad at this dude, and so we get there, right? And I don't even see it at first. I mean, there's a big crowd there, and I see this little skinny guy, and he's standing there, and this woman comes, and she's got this butcher knife. This thing's this long. She's got it in her hand, and she's like looking, and she's looking. I'm like, is she coming to me? Because I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to shoot her because she's coming for this dude. But I was there in uniform, and she totally just ignored me. And so, thank God, what happened was I actually drew my gun on her because I was like, you got to drop that. I said, because I thought, she's going to kill somebody. And everybody started grabbing her. So the community helped.
Right.
It wasn't like they just let me hang, Right. They know me, and they were like, oh. So we got it, and we got the knife from her, and she was trying to stab this dude because he had beat the shit out of her earlier, and she went and got a knife and was going to gut him. And the thing in Columbus was a little bit different because this officer gets out of the car and literally, and here's my take on this, and I try to look from both sides of it, but all he's seeing is about 8 people. He sees a dude kicking a girl on the ground. He sees 2 people. Well, this girl with the knife, she actually sees this officer. She looks right at him, and she still tries to stab this girl. Now, what I hear is 2 things, and I understand totally where the community is coming from. I get it. Why didn't he tase her?
Right.
Or shoot her in the leg? And I'll talk about that. Tasing don't always work. If I'm coming at you with a knife and you're against a car and I got a knife, I'm going to stab you. Do you want me to kind of take this person out or get him out totally? Because here's the thing. If he pulls his taser and he shoots and that taser don't work, this girl's getting stabbed. Possibly. If he puts it in the chest, you're dead. There's nothing that cop can do to help you, okay, number 1. Number 2, the taser, I can tell you, I probably tased hundreds of people, and it maybe worked 60% of the time. Some people just brush it off. You'd be amazed. They're just like, they get the prongs off of them, and so that's the other thing. Shooting for the leg, I always hear that.
Yeah, that was one of the things we talked about.
If you two are fighting right now, if you guys are throwing down, seriously, if you're all throwing down, and even though I'm a trained shooter, and there's people a lot better shots than me, but even if I'm a trained shooter and I'm trying to shoot you, if I miss you, because when you're fighting on the ground, I can't just, that don't work, man. That's TV. That don't work. Right. Don't work. So I'm going to try to get your leg. If you guys are on the ground and you got a knife trying to kill her, and I miss your leg and I hit her, or I miss both of you and hit somebody standing behind you in that crowd, then I'm done.
Right.
And that's why we always shoot. Now, the cop shot 4 times. We teach shoot twice. It's called tac-tac. It's like boom, boom. And you shoot center mass to try to stop the aggression. Hopefully, it's not fatal. But the only time you should ever pull your weapon as a police officer is when you feel I'm going to have to shoot. This shit about pulling your gun when there's no weapons or nothing, that's bad.
That's wrong.
Right.
You only pull when you think I'm going to have to. And I pulled when I felt like I had to. When somebody had a weapon or I thought, you're going to have to drop it. That situation, I actually felt bad for the officer. And there's some friends of mine actually compared that to the George Floyd. I said, that's night and day, man. This dude's coming out of a car, and he's got literally like 4 seconds to make a decision.
Right.
All he sees is this girl with a knife going to stab this other girl. The George Floyd, this guy had 9 minutes to kill this dude.
Yeah, like he was.
It's totally different. And sometimes you have to look at it and say, because, you know, and I talked about that. In 2015, I spoke out against shootings of unarmed males, or black males. And I did. I spoke out. And I took heat from that all over the country, man, over what happened in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And that was just my opinion. You had 4 cops there. You didn't need to do that.
Right.
This situation, this guy's by himself with 8 people, a girl getting ready to stabbed. What does he do? If he don't shoot, if he doesn't do something, that girl gets killed, then what's going to happen? They're going to say he didn't do his job. That cop, I'm going to tell you right now, will never be the same. He'll never be the same person. He might have been the greatest cop in the world and loved everybody. He ain't never going to be the same. And so I feel sorry for the dude. And I also feel sorry for the victim, and I feel sorry for the girl that got shot, because that's 3 families definitely destroyed for life. That victim and that girl that got shot, their family will never be the same. So what do you do? It's a cold world, man. Sometimes, you know.
Now, with you being a police officer, and I know you may be the enforcer of laws, but may not be able to answer this question. But the girls that were there to fight her, that she was trying to stab, and now that she's dead, will they be charged with manslaughter since they came to her home and tried to attack her?
They could be. The thing is that's up to a prosecutor. And the thing is, I can't really comment because I don't have the evidence on. I don't know what the story is. I know what I heard, but the prosecutor is obviously going to have a better investigation of what happened.
Right.
That whole thing's awful. But when that cop's getting out of the car, you got to remember something. And I've spoke out against police shootings, but in this situation, he doesn't know who's the victim, who's the suspect, who called and who didn't call. He's just seeing people coming. And that's, people forget that. This cop don't know the details. He might know that somebody called on somebody, but he don't know who it is. So if I walk in this building right now and you guys are fighting and you got a knife, and even though you called and you're defending himself, all I see is you with a knife attacking him. I don't know that you called. I don't know that. And that's the hard part. And that's the part that sometimes you have to sit down and say, you know, this guy did not know. All he saw was somebody's getting ready to kill somebody. His job should be to protect life. Property, I don't give a shit about. Everybody's talking about life and property. No, who cares? You can replace property. Life is a different thing. You can't replace that. So I do see that why that officer was so, and why he was messed up, and afterwards, and why he was so like, oh my God, because all he's seeing is somebody trying to kill somebody, and he stops it, and he's getting killed for it, online and everything. I get that, but to compare that to George Floyd,
I definitely don't think it's to be compared to George Floyd, but we in the black community have seen so many videos of violence.
Yeah, but what about
white people charging police officers, hitting them with their cars?
You're talking about the comparison.
Yeah, just like, you know what I mean? And it's like, they never think, well, let me just shoot him.
Like they're
getting stabbed, they're getting hit with
you
the
got
gun,
mass shooters who doing mass killings in movie theaters. They taking them to Burger King or something like that. You know, like they coming out alive
on the ground. And so
and see,
my thing is, it's just like the one guy who called the police because he was a bystander, and he's calling the police for help, and they show up on the scene and shoot him. It's like, is it as soon as you show up on the scene, we're just gonna shoot the first black aggressor?
Do you think that goes back to what I was saying about the hiring process?
Oh, definitely.
And that when you hire people that kind of sometimes jump to conclusions and aren't around people that are different than them, that maybe that takes effect.
Right.
I think that's what it is.
And you spoke in the book too.
I
I'm
think
still in
that's
the
what
book.
it
Is that sometimes some of these people who pass certain tests, these police tests, you didn't feel like just because they passed them they were qualified, because they like, well, the test is, the test is the test. And just because you pass the test, they're like, all right, we're going to slap a badge, we're going to slap cuffs, and you get a gun and get out there.
Gun, that's the thing.
You know
Here's the thing. I love police departments. I love my police department that I had, and I love the people in it. But I'm going to tell you the same thing we talked about before. No, there was people there that shouldn't have been there. And the hiring process, and here's the thing, and I can tell you right now, we would go exhaust everything we can test-wise to try to find out if they were suited or not. And once, and you know, every cop has to go see a psychiatrist before they come on. A lot of people don't know that. You have to go to a psychiatrist, and he evaluates you. And once he evaluates you and says you're okay, and we hire you, and you do something crazy, you know, nobody goes after a psychiatrist. They go after the police chief for hiring this person. It's like, wait a minute. You know, he went through 8 steps, including a medical doctor and a psychiatrist, and they said, oh, he's good to go. So there's something missing there where sometimes people get in that profession. And I always said, and I joke about it, you know, I was you know, I ain't patting myself on the back, but I was a pretty tough kid. You know, where I'm from, I fought, you know, and it was what it was. But sometimes I think the police departments sometimes hire people that become cops because they either got bullied at one time or maybe they were the type that just, you know, they got picked at. I don't know what it means. And I saw that, and I joke about that. I joke about it in the book because I was like, yeah, that dude we were tired. I said, yeah, I know he got bullied in school because I can tell the way he acts, the way he talks to people.
Muterspaw telling it. He telling it all.
Because we definitely feel like that's what it is. Right. It's the bully.
And people
the
like
badge.
people like me or some other good officers at Middletown that just work their ass off for the community and do anything. I can tell you, nobody bullied me when I was maybe a little kid because I was poor, but when I got older, and you look at life different like that. I don't need to toughen up to you. I don't need to prove anything to you that I'm tougher than you.
Right.
You know, I just don't. And because, you know, but when you get picked on, and I think sometimes people become cops because of that. And some police might be mad I say that, but it's true. I mean, if we're going to be truthful, let's just be truthful.
Right.
You know? So,
and now the incident, where was this in Minnesota too? The taser and the gun thing. When the lady shot the man, she thought she had the taser.
Yeah, she's done.
Like, I mean, I don't know what y'all standard issue like gun is, but is there? Can you really tell a difference? Oh, okay.
And I'll tell you, the current chief of Middletown, David Burke. I promoted Dave a couple times. Dave's a good dude, man, and Dave's a good dude. He really is, and Dave's got a good heart. And you know, some people don't like him because he's a Springboro guy, but Dave has worked here for 27 years. Dave's a taser instructor. And Dave even came out. I'm sorry, I'm gonna call him Chief Burke out of respect. Right. Chief Burke even came out and said that. That should never happen. He said that because the weight difference alone.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
The weight difference alone, one's really heavy. And so and again, that's another situation where I don't know any cop that's justified it because I saw that. I was like, how the hell you say taser, 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 and then shoot him with a gun?
Right. And she was on the force 20 years. Like it wasn't like a rookie, like or nothing like that.
You know what people respect in the community? It's when cops come out and say, I fucked up.
Right.
Because we're human.
I messed up. I was wrong. Don't make excuses. Just say I messed up. I'll do better.
Own up to it.
I'll do better next time. And that's what I love about Middletown is, and you said Middletown police, right? Compared to, I can tell you, we don't do everything right. We didn't do everything right, but we did. When we messed up, we came out and said, yeah, we screwed up. And, you know, I talk about that. It's okay to say you made a mistake, man. It's okay to say I was wrong or I didn't do this right. But that situation, the taser and the gun, totally two different weights. Right. It's like picking up that microphone and then picking up, you know, that. So that gun's heavy. That's total steel.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I want to change the trajectory a little bit. Cause I'm gonna wait because I know I know how you play.
What?
She the one. She bought Muterspaw donuts. That was
it. What you mean?
She said he liked donuts.
So nice.
Right. He liked donuts. He said he ain't got no problem with it.
People are expecting me to go in.
I appreciate you.
Yeah, they because she the one. That's her.
Right.
That's her
thing. I got you.
But this is something a little bit more hilarious.
Okay.
And the way you found out was kind of one of the ways I found out. I remember being a young kid. I'm at Douglas.
Okay.
I'm leaving. I see a guy. He going to cop. He says, points at this one guy and says, "I'm not dealing with you no more because last time you fleeced me." And you spoke about that in the book, and I was wondering too. Like at that time, I'm a little kid. I'm like 11. Like what fleece mean? Like that's some new type of drugs or something? Like fleece. Like what is fleece? But then overall, you know what fleece is?
Like
you don't know.
Like you fleeced me,
Fake
like you
dope.
got me.
Fake dope.
Fake.
Okay, well,
fake whatever you thought it was.
Right. It wasn't what I thought it was.
They used to cut up pistachios because they look just like crack, and they put it in bags and they'd sell it, and it was pistachios. They try to smoke it, and it was
looks like crack.
When you cut it up, and it was
the green pistachio.
Yeah. Well, you take out
the shell. You take the shell. You take the shell.
The nut is green.
No.
Yeah, but on the inside,
it's
a nut that looked like a piece of crack.
Or they would do it with soap.
Yep.
I can see the soap.
But I'm like, how you gonna do the soap and it's gonna smell?
They would put Orgel on it.
Anyway, so man, that's
It's crazy that you found that out like that. Like, and he talked about that in the book, and I was cracking up. I'm at work.
It's true though.
And I'm listening to it. I'm like, I'm just cracking up.
Dude come to me and he's like, he wanted to file charge on this dude because he fleeced him. I said, wait a minute, you're trying to buy crack and he fleeced you and you want to charge him? I said, that ain't going to hold up in court. It just ain't going to do it. And it's
that's funny.
And he was like, Muterspaw, you know me. I said, it doesn't make a difference. The judge ain't going to take that. So,
right.
I mean,
we need a hood court for that.
Right.
Oh, there's street justice for that. Trust me. The dude who fleeced him stayed out of town for a while. So
we gotta get him.
Also, on a different note, Muterspaw.
Yes, sir.
It was something like I said. You was putting on stuff. You was doing a little what some people would call tattletelling, but you was just just telling it. You spoke about the difference in people calling that live out here on the east end, and you spoke the difference about people calling on the south end for police help. And you said things are a little bit different. We didn't know that. We would say that, but we didn't actually really know and have the proof. So break that down for our listeners, you know what I mean, like how they was playing.
Yeah, when I was a younger patrol officer, let's say that you had a situation. Let's say something happened in a neighborhood out on the east side, whether it's Manchester Manor, the Oaks, or something, and my dad lives out in Manchester Manor, and it's one of those things where if he had a problem at his house and it was serious, they would send out 2 or 3 officers. They would make sure that he was taken care of, and the neighborhood would they'd work, change shift hours, whatever, to solve a problem. Like there was a cat burglar, man, in the 90s. I was just a kid. I was a young officer, and there was a cat burglar, and this dude was really cat burglar. He dressed in all black.
I was going to say, I have not heard the
term
cat burglar.
I know it's like old school, like the 50s or something, right?
In a long time.
Yeah. So, but he dressed in all this stuff, and he had broken into a few homes, and what he's doing is at night, like after midnight, this dude was sliding in. Patio doors were open. He was checking, and he would steal stuff, and he'd leave. Man, we spent a month on it. They made us all go out there in plain clothes and stuff and cars. And I get it, man, because it's scary to break in your house at night, right? But if we had the same problem down on Pine, we ain't sitting 10 people down there, man. That's a fact.
Right.
And people get mad when I say that. I said, but it's true. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, I go, just keep a check on it, make sure that. Right. So there was a difference, and I guess I'm like that, and it's not tattletelling; it's just truth. I mean, tattletelling is, one thing, but when you're speaking truth to make your community better,
right?
Because here's where I'm like that: is that's how I grew up. Right. I grew up where I was stopped, and I was one of them little hood rats, man, that had jeans on and no T-shirt, running around at 11 o'clock at night, and I got stopped and I got patted down and stuff, and and I saw how. And I always joke with people, and you said celebrity, and I'm not a celebrity, but I tell you what I am. I'm pretty respected. And the same people that wouldn't give me the time of day, 25 years ago are kissing my ass every day now. And that sounds arrogant, but it's true. And I see how the difference in treatment is. And I've always said, we talk about race a lot, and race is a big topic in policing, and we talk about it all the time. And the black officers at Middletown, we would have these conversations because you don't achieve anything without honest conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay? I'm not black. I didn't grow up black. I can't tell you what it's like to be black growing up. I can tell you what it's like to be poor growing up, and I can tell you that class and race are almost the same. Mm-hmm. To where in this society, if you got money, sometimes it don't matter what race you are. It's just a fact. A friend of mine, Kelsey Cooper, we just did a show with Hartman and Cedric Burns and Franklin Hicks.
Shout out to those guys.
It's great dudes, man. Those are my guys, man. But what's funny about that is he brought up a good point. There was an argument. Can a black person be racist? And Cedric's like, of course they can. Mm-hmm. And Cedric's like, no, they can be prejudiced. They can't be racist because we don't have the power. And that conversation went on. Well, when I was growing up, I felt like being poor, I didn't have the power. Anything, and you are looked down on when you don't have money. So I couldn't imagine being black and poor and not just poor because I know how bad I got it.
That's when I'm going to stop you right there. Class and race, definitely not the same
you're going to really
thing.
put that lid on and not
No, I got you because we getting into it. Class and race.
Before you get into that, a quick word from the sponsors. You might be stepping out tonight. Is the camera right there? You might be stepping out tonight. And you might need that fresh cut. So get over to the guys at Rural Studio, 1220 Elliott Drive, and make sure you stay golden. And also, you might be tired of Spectrum and satellite hitting your pockets, so get over to the GTV cable app for free. Mm-hmm. Every one of your pay-per-view shows, premium channels, adult channels, if you into that, make sure you use the code, the Cookout.
Into that.
That's DACOOKOUT. for special offers.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, before we get into it, we got a question from the fans.
Oh yeah, we also got a couple
questions from the fans.
Some fans that wanted us.
They trying to let me cool down. That's what they trying to do.
We're gonna get back into it. We're gonna get back into it, Jay Lee.
We're gonna get back into it. I'm gonna do this throughout the interview.
These questions, just answer them really just quick.
All right.
You know what I mean? Don't spend too much time on them, but
I got you.
Answer them truthful.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about taking money?
On a raid.
Like on a raid or something?
How many times have you taken money?
No. And I tell you why. Because to me, it wasn't growing up poor. I wasn't about to lose a $60,000, $70,000 a year job at the time for money.
Right.
We got accused of it all the time.
Right.
But no, I really haven't. No.
You personally have.
No.
One more before Jay Lee start her onslaught.
That's a good question.
It's definitely.
Yeah.
Worst criminal you ever dealt with?
Dude named Clarence Ramble from Compton, California. We went out and got him in Compton with LAPD. What? He's in federal prison for life. He was set up shop here with his gang, and he was bringing crack and heroin in, and he was wanted. He was such a badass dude. When we went out to Los Angeles, to California, with LAPD, brought their SWAT team in to take him out of his house. He had people killed for. He's the one who had people killed for snitching. He was a bad dude.
You had to go to Compton to get him?
My detectives did. I was in charge of the unit. I sent Fultz and Burke out there at the time, and they went and got him with LAPD. They brought the SWAT team to take him out of the house.
Wow.
Compton. Yeah. It was a 3-year investigation. It was rough. Yeah.
And that was the recent cartel business.
No, that was a different one.
Something else.
No, that was the Sinaloa cartel. When I was the chief. That was they were coming in from Mexico, and that got ugly. Yeah.
But so this was a This was a different.
This is different. These dudes didn't play. I mean, they were serious. They set up like in 5 different cities in America, and from Compton, and when they went out and got him, he just laughed at us. He called Burke a meathead. He said, "Yeah," and I was like, "You're going to prison for life." He goes, "I don't give a fuck."
And really, those guys at that level, they don't. When you watch the movies,
they're
in cells that's all pimped out.
No, those were dangerous people, and that's why I tell people that there wasn't no game with those guys. It wasn't like I joke around some of the dealers around here because they thought they were hard. I was like, man, you ain't seen hard. This dude kills people, man. I mean, it's just and he did it for if you find out you're snitching, he's gonna kill you. His team was gonna kill you, and they were serious, man. So yeah,
that's scary.
Now, Jay Lee.
After we done got all off topic.
No.
But no, you mentioned race in class.
Yeah.
And I just got to put it out there because we have you sitting here right now. In my opinion, race and class, 2 very different things. Mm-hmm. I'm glad you said I couldn't imagine being black and poor.
Yeah.
Because Father God. Yeah. But what I want people of privilege like you to understand is that you can be poor all day long, but your white skin still gives you a pass. And that is, I think, the hardest thing for people of color when we're sitting next to our brothers and sisters in poverty that are of non-color, is that we know that, they've done studies. White boy, black boy grew up in the same neighborhood, same, class, same high school, same college, same. And you take the ACE score of the black boy, ACE is the adverse childhood experiences, and the ACE score of the white boy, and it's going to be completely different because that black boy grew up being stalked in stores, being questioned before he walked out, being pulled over unnecessarily, being put up against the wall and just checked because that's just what. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it's just race and class.
Can I say something?
Yes.
You don't hear me arguing with you, do you?
No, I'm just saying. I just wanted to make sure, they heard what you said about race and class, kind of the same thing. I got to come back.
Well, to me, it is the same thing as far as when you're a kid growing up, you think, when you're a poor kid growing up, whether you're white or black, and I was a white kid, I thought I was the scourge of the earth, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, I thought this sucks, but that's when I said after that, but I didn't grow up poor and black, so I don't know what it's like. And that's the difference. So I don't have an argument for that because
I don't want you to argue. This is I'm just letting the world know. Right. Because I get into it with my boyfriend is white. I mean, I get into that whole dun, dun, dun. And we have conversations all the time. And he grew up poor, and him, trailer park, and you know, his brother moved out. Him and his brother moved out at 16.
What's your boyfriend's name? Am I allowed to ask?
Yeah, Ian Jordan. Shout him out.
Do I know him?
No, he's not from here.
Okay.
But, you know, moved out at 16 and had run-ins with the police, and their friends were predominantly black. And but what I have to remind him is you and your brothers are both in your 30s and you're not in prison, and you both have sold drugs, have beat people to the white meat, have, you know what I mean? That's that privilege, because black men don't get to say that. Don't get to say I've sold drugs for 15 years and
here's why I respect your opinion, because I'm not you. And you have a right to your opinion, and I will never disrespect your opinion.
Right.
Because I'm not you, and I didn't grow up black. I can't say that young black men didn't have it hard, because I'm not a young black man. So I can't come out. I can't say that because I don't know. I can tell you just from my experience as a young poor white kid growing up how I felt. But for me to say that I know how a young black man felt would be disrespectful, because I don't know. Even though the crowd I ran with was young black males, I saw what they went through, and I talk about it in the book about getting stopped as a police officer with a friend of mine in the car who was, if you remember that, I know. And my only goal was to change things. And one guy is not going to change things, and I'm proud that a lot of the officers we have now at Middletown are trying hard to change things. I can tell you that. And because I saw what my friends went through, you know, and my thing was I'm going to make it better in my time as the chief, and we had a lot of success because we did everything we can to make it better. Now, one of my weaknesses was I clapped back a lot. You come at me about my people, if you're wrong, I'm going to clap back at you all day, and that's what I did. But I gained a lot of respect for that too, because
he was on Twitter and all that.
Yeah, if you're wrong, I'm going to call you out. If you're right, I'm going to say you're right. And that's the difference. So again, you don't hear me arguing with you for a reason. Okay. Because I understand where you're coming from.
I love it.
She was ready. She was ready. But she mad. Like I wanted an argument.
No, I didn't want an argument, but I need him to say everything he's gonna say so that I can combat it. Because we have people in our inboxes that are like, he played nice, but he racist. He's still racist.
Oh, let me bring up that word. I thought it was so funny. I had a guy.
Because I feel like people have called me racist.
Yeah. So. Well, you're gonna hear anytime you're labeled as police, you're going to be racist. Before I was police, do you think I was ever labeled as racist?
Probably not.
From the black community? I know I wasn't.
Yeah.
No.
Because that's where I was at.
Right.
And it was, but as soon as I became police, even like, I'd been policeman 1 year, and I was called a racist from people that I played ball with. I'm like, you know me, you've been in my house, and, you know, we've I ain't gonna say that. I better not say that. But I said we share girls together, man. And so my point is it's like
shout them out.
Shout them out. Shout them out.
But my point, no. So my point is we've done things together that I'm like, come on, man. So it's like,
what was this? Look, I'm interested. How many years ago was this? With some women.
It was a while back.
Y'all was swirling on Muterspaw.
When did OPP come out?
It was like 92.
He knows.
About 92.
He was a connoisseur.
The point is you're going to have that, and I know that's how it is. And there's one dude, and he lights up Steve Hartman's inbox all the time, and he says that dude's racist. And when I was young, and I don't even know this cat, and he said when I was young, he told me to get back to my side of town. I was like, well, I know that's a lie, because that was my side of town too, you know.
I wonder if that's who sent me the message.
It might have been, but this dude, he hates me, and I don't care, but I don't even know him. If he walked up, I wouldn't know him. But the thing is Steve told him, he said, do you have any idea who his grew up with and who his friends are and you know, who he's been with and who his girlfriends were? And this guy's like, hey, he's still a racist. Well, okay, and that's fine. If that's what you feel about me, that's cool. Well, I can't change what you think about me. But my friends know how I am, and they know that's not me. I'm just not, you know, so... You know, and one of the things I took heat of, and I don't, it's nothing to brag about, but, you know, in the book I talk about I created a position for a promotion so we can have people of color in positions of authority. Right. And I took heat from that. I took heat for that a lot. And I thought it was important that we mirrored our community. Our police department mirrored what our community was. And one of the positions I created was to ensure that we had a person of color this guy's a good cop. Earl Nelson's his name. And people in Middletown don't like him because he's not look, there she goes. But I created a position, but this guy he got promoted even if I didn't do that. He was getting promoted no matter what, but I wanted to ensure it. And my point was I took heat for that, but I thought it was important to promote, to have people in authority of color in our city because our city needed that because our city is full of people of color, and that's why I did it.
And we appreciate you for that.
You know,
and sometimes we pick colored crayons and we don't realize that once we take the wrapper off that they're really not colored on the inside. No, I'm joking.
I knew you were going somewhere because her face told me. You didn't need to say nothing. Your face told me everything I needed you to.
No, for real. I appreciate your stance on that because that is important.
It is.
It's important for the police force to mirror the community.
Yeah.
It is important.
But, the thing is, Earl was going, but he ended up getting promoted even without that because he beat everybody else out. So, I mean, it was, I just wanted to ensure that it happened.
Yeah, and nobody's going to hate on somebody being great.
The guy works his ass off for the city. I know people don't like him, but the dude works his ass off for this city to make it safer. He really does. And
I was wondering, when cops feel like people don't like them, do they be like, man, let me
try a little harder.
Today, let me try a little harder to be a little bit more cooler.
Because we love that cop that's like, what's, oh, shoot.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't know his name. I'm
Kirby?
follow him on Facebook. Is it Kirby? That dances in the community.
I love Kirby.
Yeah.
He's such a good dude, man. And he's one of these guys that you just can't help
out in Arkansas, right?
He loves everybody. Yeah, he that's a guy that, you often hear people say, and it's bullshit. They always say, well, I don't see color. Yeah, you do. We all see color.
You better.
You're black, I'm white. I see you, you see me.
Right.
When people say that, that's not true.
And it's disrespectful. If they don't see it, it's disrespectful,
color,
right?
And you see me, but Kirby's one of the guys, he sees everybody, he really sees everybody the same. He's just a goofy, fun-loving guy, man. He loves people. And he don't care if you're black, white, Latino. He doesn't care. He likes you. And that's the type of people that I'm really proud that we hired. Guys like
I know
that.
sometimes I see color.
Do you really?
Like if I'll be feeling bad, but
You
like
saying you see it and you feel bad?
Yeah, I see it, and
it.
then the type of people, like, we stay in like a predominant, you know what I'm saying? We have some black people on our street, shout out to them. We got some clean white people on the street. But if I see some grungy looking white people walking down my street,
you feel some type of way?
Yeah, I feel some type of way. Like, what are you doing around here? You don't supposed to be around here. You looking in, you trying to break in cars.
And that was crazy.
So I'm just admitting it. Yeah. Maybe it's a liquor, but I just gotta just tell it. Like I'll be like, "What is you doing?"
Yeah, sometimes.
I feel that way about all colors.
Get on my neighborhood.
Well, no, just if you looking crazy, it's like, what you doing over here? Like, what you got going on? Like, if I know you're not a neighbor and I know you're,
I know that's wrong.
It's
they
like,
could
what
just
you
be
got
taking a
going
stroll
on
on the street. You know what I mean?
Right.
But if you walking down the street in the summertime with a trench coat on or something like that,
I know that I've been called racist, and it does not. I couldn't imagine being white called racist, knowing that I do like, you know what I mean? Like I could understand being offended. Like, hold up. But at the same time, what do you do as a white man or an ally, if I can call you that, to combat those things?
There's nothing you can do. People.
No,
I don't believe that, because here's why. I mean, when people think that, like this dude I'm talking about. There's nothing I can say or do that's going to change his mind. No matter what. And there's been people, and here's what's funny. There's been people I put in prison, literally prison for drug trafficking, whether it's heroin or coke, and they don't call me racist.
Right.
So, I mean, it's like, it's one of those things where as a white dude, you just kind of like, it is what it is. I mean, if you're going to call me, if that's what you think about me, that's what you're going to think about. I can't change your mind. Because the words like that, no matter what, it's the same people who drops the N word with the hard R. That's in their heart. That's never going to, you're never going to change those people. You can try all day. You're not going to change those people. You're just not. And, but, I just look at my own life, and I'm looking, it's been awesome, man, everything I've been able to do, but I've had a great run, and my true friends that matter to me, they know better.
Right.
And that's all that matters.
Well, let's just end it all here right now. Do you feel like the white race is the superior race?
No.
Do you feel like you are better? I said we. No. You are better. Look,
no.
By association. No, I'm joking.
I tell you why. I mean, I'm not. I went to a Christian school because I had a rich donor because I could play ball, and he sponsored me to go to a private school.
Okay.
Or else I never would have went. So I do. So I do understand the Bible, and I read the Bible every day in high school and in college because that's what we did. And the Bible clearly says all men are created equal. So how can you believe that and think anybody's superior to anybody? And here's why, that you can't ever think that way. I'm German. I am. Look at my last name. I'm straight German. And look what the German people did to the Jews and the Polish.
Right.
They exterminated them. So how can I ever think that we think the white race is superior when they literally kill people for being different.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I mean, well, they wrote it. They wrote it in the Constitution though. Like they said, like you said, like a black man is 3/5 of a man. We was considered like cattle.
And it's still in the Constitution. So what do we do about that? And Slavery by Another Name. You're familiar with that movie?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, the federal government is the worst run. It's horrible. The Constitution, all this. I don't believe anything the federal government says, whether it's Joe Biden, Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, George Bush. I don't care. I don't believe anything they say. I'm not a fan of the federal government.
You didn't mention the one president that we acknowledge.
Who, Barack?
Yeah.
I like Barack. I don't have a problem. My problem with
now I see why they say you're racist. You name all these presidents and you leave out the black one.
No, I tell you what, Barack, his second term bothered me. His first term was good, I thought. Mm-hmm. Second term, I didn't like him. And that's just my honest opinion.
Okay.
My opinion, and it doesn't mean I'm right, but I liked him the first term. I didn't like him the second term. And but my point is I just don't have any faith in what they do. The Constitution was written to make sure that we were protected as a country. I think if you go back and look at the history of this country, it's founded on some bad shit. You just have to adapt and move forward. And I try to tell people that. I mean, it's never going to be the way we want it to be. And we have to understand that. We just got to do better. Mm-hmm. If that makes any sense at all.
And you are in the process of trying to make things better.
I am.
Thinking of running for council?
I am, and I've had a lot of people reach out about that. Yeah, it's there's people in the city who haven't been heard ever, and if they have been heard or not, they haven't been listened to. And I can tell you, one of my goals and the support when I announced I was doing that, man, the support was out of control. It was awesome. I mean, it was business owners, everybody. I mean, black community. Everybody's reached out and said, "Hell yeah, let's go, let's do this." And I think they know that because I listen to people, and I'm for all of Middletown. I can't. The current councils, I like some of them, I do, but I can tell you some of them don't give a shit about the average person. It's all about them and their business or this.
Yeah.
I can tell there's good people on council though that want to be heard, but I also know as a city employee for 30 years and somebody that sat as the police chief, and went to Washington, all this cool stuff, that the average person in this city is dismissed. If you came into the city building and wanted something, they would say, "Oh yeah, we'll help you," and then when you leave, they just like, whatever. Right. And that's going to change, and that scares them. It was funny. As soon as I announced, within 2 days, I got emails from people on council, city managers off different places, said, "Hey, what's going on? Are you really going to do this?" And so they're a little worried, and they should be, because I'm for the people, and I think I'm not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes, man. I really do. But I think my upbringing, where I'm from, and how I grew up really makes me a good candidate because I see the sides of everything. I grew up, we laugh, and me and my brother to this day, my mom was a single mom, divorced. Me and my brother lived in 11 different apartments or houses from kindergarten to high school, moving out, getting evicted, welfare. I remember staying with my mom. This is a real thing, y'all. I'm not kidding you. I remember holding my mom in the we called it the government cheese line. Because it's true. You go to and they would give you your welfare check and your government cheese and your powdered milk, and I've been in that line with my mom. So I see what people go through in the city. It's a poor city, and it's an impoverished city, and I want those same people to be heard. And I've always said, just because you have a couch on your porch don't mean you shouldn't be listened to. Right. And that's what we're trying to change. And
I like that.
I think we're trying to change that.
I wouldn't listen to the person with the couch on the porch. No, I'm joking.
Me either.
Sorry.
People need to be heard, and I'm not perfect. I make a lot of mistakes. I'm very vocal. I say things I shouldn't say, but I think that's why people respect me for that.
And we appreciate you for that.
That's why I always say this, like for like communities and stuff like that to be better and stuff like that. I always say like, man, we gotta hire our own. Like I always feel like the Middletown high school basketball team. I always felt like that should have been somebody from the community who actually seen these kids grow up, or just like you grew up around here, like so you know the area, the area very good, so you know what to expect and know what to look for and everything like that. I always say like we need to just hire more like you said in the community. Yeah.
I said that about teachers. I said that about teachers.
Oh my gosh!
Teachers need to. I would love, and I know you can't just hire Middletown people as teachers. I know that. I get that. But our teachers should be, and I have nothing but mass respect for Middletown school teachers because what they have to deal with is I couldn't do it. I'd be in jail.
I couldn't either.
What they do, but it's one of those things where it's we need to do a better job of trying to make that happen. And Middletown people to me are the best people in the world, man. You're not going to convince me otherwise because they raised me in everything I have in life. taking my 2 little 5-year-olds to Disney World Sunday for a week. So excited.
Okay.
It's her trip to Disney World, right?
Right.
My point is, I'm able to do that because everything the city of Middletown gave me, because I never had those opportunities. But Middletown raised me, and the kid and the people that Miss Seal and the people that would take care of us and just love on us.
Shout out.
And she's the best person in Middletown.
Man.
If anybody said that, argue me, I'd punch him in the mouth.
Right.
That woman has
She's
raised
like the mama queen.
She's raised
All
all
of
of
us.
us.
Like the queen of Middletown.
And she's gold. And that's the people, to me, that are the leaders of the city. I don't care if you're elected. Those are the leaders. Because if Miss Sill says something, everybody stops.
Yeah.
If she called right now and said, hey, I need this, we'd all go.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And
Right.
but I wouldn't do that for my own council.
Right.
But that's my point. I mean, Middletown people are gold, man. And that's what we're trying to do is just make our city better, man. That's all we're trying to do is let people be heard.
Jelly, throw them M's up. Hold on, before you go to that, we got 2 more questions. We got these questions. that
Go
we gotta
ahead
get out.
and pop open
These
the
from-
donuts.
These from our people.
He said pop open.
So you bought these from Muterspaw, and you the one that really wanted the donuts.
I thought I bought them for us to snack on while we were sitting here.
Lord have mercy. Let me see what you got here.
You're going to make me
before
the
Chucky-
donut on camera,
Before
ain't you?
Chucky read these.
Oh.
But you know what?
That was some
I'm
called
gonna
bear
ask why they
paws.
trying to get
You bought one. You got the old people
questions
donuts in
together?
here. I don't know what these is.
being
These
able
the
to
old
sit
people.
down
Like
with
the bear
you
paws. Like that, what
and
they
have a
call it?
conversation with you today, and see your
Which one? What do you get? What are you getting?
Them the old people donuts. I don't see.
I got-
So he put the old people donuts to
Right?
me.
No, I said 6 glaze and then 6.
I just want this one right here.
What are those?
bear claws, cinnamon,
See, I was right.
deep
I knew
fried,
it.
like
I
cinnamon,
knew it.
deep fried.
All right.
Must be some
Crunchy.
down south.
Okay.
I knew it.
Being able to sit here with you today, and this is kind of like a Hartman interview, right? Where I came in thinking I was gonna go one way, and then they smoothed me.
It ain't over with yet.
I know.
And
They smoothed me, and then I don't go in, and then when the cameras start rolling, they do some fuck shit that make me want to go in some harder. But we're not gonna get on
Here's the thing. I ain't schmoozing. I'm just telling
to
you the truth.
Hartman right now. You're right. You're right. You're right.
he said
So,
ask him whatever.
You
He said
right,
ask
you
him
right,
whatever. He
you
said
right.
be open to whatever.
Okay.
You right.
You had to be raw and unregulated.
Okay.
But before you go there,
let me ask
Chucky
one question. One more question.
read these questions.
Let me
Read
read
two.
one.
No,
Read
read them.
two. Out of your whole career, is there anything that you regret doing? Like, like if you could change anything, would you change anything?
Yeah, when I was younger, in my early 20s, I had a chip on my shoulder like we all did. Remember what you were like when you were 23,
You
24?
want to play? You thugging for real.
Yeah, thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
He eating off the
I'm eating
table.
off the table like
He
a
said,
rat.
"Don't come for him. He's doing it all."
So, yeah, when I was younger, I treated some people like shit. I'd get mad easy on calls, and I'd kind of just go off on people. And to this day, I regret that. I mean, because they needed our help, and there I went and I was an asshole to them. And when you look back how you are when you're 24, 25, you're totally different than you are when you're older. You just are. Even y'all in your 30s, you're different now. You might not know it, but when you're 21, you're different.
Oh yeah,
And I had an
I
attitude.
see that all the time. Every
I had
day.
an attitude, and I was if somebody pissed me off, I let them hear about it. And when you look back, you do have regrets because you're like, man, if I'd have just treated them better or been nicer, and because when you get older, and I sound like I'm 80, but I'm 50. It sounds when you get older, you trade that passion for compassion, and you become more compassionate toward people. And I wish I would have had that in my 20s because there's people that I just like, man, I shouldn't have. I talk to them like a dog, and you just can't do that. And that's why people sometimes hate the police. And I'm like, I wish I could have done better. Now, over time, it did get better.
Right.
And I made amends with him, but it doesn't change the fact that I did what I did.
Right.
Yeah.
I kind of feel you. This ain't the same thing, but I remember I was mean to some 5s and some 6s, and now they 9s. And I got a girlfriend now, anyways. But I'm just saying, I'll be feeling bad, like damn. Why
He
did
gonna
I-
stick with that girlfriend because them 9s and 10s ain't looking his way.
Why? This before I got with her, I'm like, man, they
Stick with
these
her.
is they 9s now. Like, why did I do that?
Damn.
I'm just playing.
Yeah, that's
What
all-
else you
that's
got,
all.
Chucky?
Okay, last one.
Yeah.
This is a funny one. How do you feel about the term pig?
Don't bother me a bit. I've been called pig. Here's the thing. I've been called pig. I think I even joked on putting a pig emoji on the thing. I laugh because I've been called pig so many times. When you're called something so many times, you're just kind of like, it don't bother. It's just a word, man.
Right.
It's just, your actions are mean more to me than your words.
Jay Lee.
When we
It don't bother me a bit.
before I even go into the question I wanted to go into, you are aware of the history of the police force
Absolutely, I am.
and how
Police force in general.
how they went from overseers to slave catchers to police. And without getting too into that, because we don't have that much time, sitting here and able to have a conversation with you and how passionate you are about police work and character of the heart and all of that good stuff, implicit bias and just how you should love and not care about color. See it, but not let that determine your decision.
Respect it.
Respect it. I appreciate you going into city government. I know that real change starts at home. But how much thought have you put into, now that you have a book out and you are nationally known and you have connects in LA and, you know, East Coast, how much thought have you put into helping the current police force that it is now? You are a voice and you're a white man. And other white men are going to listen to you.
Yeah.
I love Middletown. I think they very much deserve you and your service and everything you have
Thank
to
you.
offer. But I also see a potential in you changing things nationally.
Okay.
And I'm just curious to know how much thought you have put into that. Whether it be a book tour and just speaking at different police departments about, you know, your story. And I don't know if you've watched the movie Two Distant Strangers yet on Netflix.
I haven't seen it yet, no.
It's a 30-minute short film.
What's it called?
Two Distant Strangers.
I'm going to put it on my phone. Do you care?
No, go right ahead. Two Distant
I ain't
Strangers.
seen it. Put us on, Jay Lee.
It's a 32-minute short film. And long story short, young black guy keeps getting killed by the police, by a police officer.
Okay, I got it.
The same black guy? Or?
Same black guy.
Just different scenarios or
He
something.
keeps going. He gets killed.
It's
And
like Groundhog Day, right?
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
And he wakes back up, and it's a new day. And every day, you know, every wake up, he's trying to figure out how do I get home safely.
Okay.
And he, you know, and I want you to watch it, so I don't want to tell you
Okay.
anything. But I have the idea that I feel like if the federal government, if Kamala came out or something and said every police department has to watch this 30-minute short film with their community. Now I know we got to be on patrol, so I know it can't be every police officer, and you know I know there would have to be some type of logistics worked out.
Okay.
But by the end of that film, I had a perspective, just like I am sitting here with you, from the police officer that I had never had before.
Okay.
And I would hope that a police officer watching that film would have a different perspective from a young black male or a young black female. You know, after watching this short film.
Right.
And we are in such a tumultuous time. And we can't pretend that it hasn't been this way. You talked about Rodney King. You were 22 years old.
Yeah.
We can't pretend that it hasn't been this way
Right.
since the beginning of time.
Yeah.
You know, we're still getting lynched. Lynching just looks like being, you know, a knee in our throat or shot in the street or, you know, or killed in our jail cell. Like they're still going to kill us. It's just killing us in a different way. They're still enslaving us. We're just in prisons now instead of plantations. Free labor is free labor.
Okay.
So talking with you and knowing that, you know, you are a white man with privilege, my question again is just how much thought have you put into taking your privilege outside of Middletown and trying to be a voice, a blue voice across the country?
It's already started.
Okay.
I'm sorry, getting close. It's already started. I can tell you the book is being read by academies. People in the academies are reading the book, try to get an understanding. And I know I've had academy instructors from around the country saying, you know, they pick this book up and they're like, we're going to have our people read this to understand what it's really like and what they need to know, because it's from the heart and it's something that's raw and very real. My goal for policing around America is really simple. It sounds simple and cliche, but it's do better. We have to do better. We have an obligation when you're given the ultimate power of authority. When you're entrusted with a gun and ability to put handcuffs on somebody and lock them up and take their freedoms, you have to make sure you understand how awesome of a responsibility that is, to the point where you better do it right. you're giving the ultimate responsibility in life. I have the legal authority to take your freedom. If that doesn't make it sink in as a cop and as a young cop, that we have to do it 100% right, then you shouldn't be in the business. Right. And my goal is to spread that word. The book does that. I've told you the podcasts I've done are all over the country. I've done hardcore Republican podcasts. I've done hardcore Democrat and liberal Republican. So I've done all this. The guy I did out in Los Angeles, we talked about that a little bit. And my goal is to just have police officers understand, look, we have a responsibility that is second to none. And when we fuck up and we don't do it right, it affects all of us. It affects every cop in America when one does it bad. So we have to do it right. And you're never going to convince me we don't need the police. I do think we need to have social workers incorporated.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean, and I try to tell people, cops get mad at me when I say that, but I'm like, I'm not saying no cops, all social workers. I'm saying we're not equipped or educated enough to handle mental illness or certain situations. What is wrong with having somebody on scene with you on those calls? Whether we staff social workers or mental health workers and we put them on shifts and say, hey, we're going to hire these people. When we have this call, they're going with us, or we're going to call them out. So we not only have a cop there, but we have a professional to help deal with these situations. Don't ever send them there by themselves. I'm not saying that because they might get hurt. And people hear that wrong. They're like, well, if we send a social worker, then they'll get, well, you don't send just a social, you send the officer, you send somebody with him who's a professional and who knows what to do.
Right.
That's my point. We need to spread that kind of reform to the point where that the public can trust us, because they know we're not coming to hurt anybody. We're coming to help somebody. Have somebody there with us that's a professional. And if it gets ugly, we're there to handle it if it does.
Exactly. Because
a lot of
these people don't even need jail. Like, a lot of them just mental health. Like, just give them some help. Like, a lot of these people, like,
the one guy who was killed because he was just having an episode. And
the one thing about what you just said about jail is, and it's like we had the big thing in Middletown when I was the chief, and was I constantly got killed about people that are addicts.
Right.
I'm like, well, they should be locked up. I'm like, well, what good does locking an addict up do? It does nothing. An addict sitting in jail just gets worse. It doesn't do anything for them. They need treatment. They need help. They need counseling. They need doctor care. And, but the thing about America is America's funny because America is so flighty, man. They'll change with the wind. Mm-hmm. They'll say, we want these people in jail, but unless it's your son or your daughter,
right.
Whoa, they need treatment.
Right.
And so that's what we dealt with as police officers. It's like you have to look at every situation. And people always ask me, and I got asked by this interviewer out of Wisconsin, and it was a great interview. And he was like, what's the number one thing that you think a police officer should have? And everybody says integrity, honesty. I'm like, no, everybody lies.
Right.
Empathy. I have to put myself in your shoes when I come to your house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have to put myself in your shoes. If I'm in your house, I have to put myself in your shoes. What are you going through? And if it was me, how would I want this approached? Mm-hmm. And that's my number one thing with police is empathy. More than anything. You can throw out the cliche, what you need?
Paper towel.
Paper towel? Oh, this is wet. So, okay.
Muterspaw got drunk.
No, you ain't seen me drunk, bro. I might be back for round 2, and we'll see. But no, empathy is more important than anything. And that's one thing I think that as police departments, we have to, chiefs all the country need to push that. You got to be empathetic to people, man, and put yourself in their shoes. And if you got to arrest them, you got to arrest them. I get that.
Right.
But be empathetic to what the needs are. And that's my goal is to humanize the job, but to show the world and to show police officers, look, we got to do it better. We got to do it different. And there comes a time, policing is not about enforcement.
Right.
People, they'll say, oh, police, no, it's about solving problems.
Mm-hmm.
It's problem solving, man. It's not enforcement, it's problem solving. My goal to get to your house if you have a problem is to solve your problem.
Right.
Not necessarily to put you in jail. It's to help you. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing that we've gotten away from in the country, and then we need to do a better job. And that's one thing I've always tried to push. And I can tell you Middletown does a pretty good job of that. We're not perfect at it, but they do a pretty good damn job of it compared to others.
I wish that, I know this couldn't happen, but I wish that cops could call in and be like, hey, man, I'm going through some shit at home. girl acting up, kids being bad as hell. I don't feel like coming to work today because I know if I come, the first person I pull over, I'm probably gonna be on their ass. I wish it could be like that.
Right.
You just said I can't say it any better than what you just said. Here's why. You know what the tagline of the book is? Look, is she laughing at you? Or she laughing at me?
No, I'm laughing at it.
The tagline of the book, and I don't need to, I just was going to, the tagline of the book.
We're going to plug the book again, too.
But the tagline is this. The hardest part of being a police officer is trying to solve everybody else's problems when you can't solve your own.
Yeah.
You just said it.
Yep.
I don't even need to say it. You just said it.
Yep.
That's the tagline, because that is so true, because there was times I was fighting with my wife or my girlfriend and my wife, and I would go to.
We secure over
that
here.
was a long time ago. You're talking to, I was a young guy. So my wife's awesome, man. She's been my rock, man. So I just tell you that. But the thing is, and then I have to go to work and try to solve your problem. And I'm stressed out at home. I got a woman mad at me. My kids are being brats, whatever. My daughter's in trouble at school, and then I got to go to your house, and you got to tell me your problems. The whole time in the back, I'm thinking about my problems, so I'm not solving your problems.
You sound like a social worker.
Yeah, that's why I always say, like, any job, like, you try to separate the two. Like, never bring your job, your work life home with your personal life. Never mix the two. Because sometimes, like you said, because sometimes, like you said, like, you might have a bad day, like, arguing with the wife and the kids and all that, but then you got to work that day, but then you going to work with all that on your head.
Yeah.
So
and you a manager, so you know how.
Yeah, exactly. That's why.
Be in there. Hey.
That's why I always try when I leave work, I always be like, okay, when I leave, work stays there. Like, I never take it home. Like, I try. Sometimes it's hard because you be thinking a lot, like, man, okay, what's this? I hope this person do this and do that, whatever. But you try to leave it. You try to leave it at home. I mean, try to keep them separate.
Yeah, that makes sense, though, man. It really does. I
think it's your self-care if you can keep it separate.
Yeah.
But when you're doing such a personable job, and I say personable because you're dealing with people every day, and their problems, and we're human. An issue, a problem can trigger you. You grew up in poverty, so now as an adult, you're going into a neighborhood or a home, and it's hard and it's a lot.
It's very hard,
And so I think I can take my mean hat off now. I think we should be able to empathize, and I think we do. I want to say that I feel like the Black community does empathize with police officers in the sense of
they do.
You're trying to do a job. We get that. We get that.
Yeah.
But protecting and serving, and you've attested to it, and you've said it the entire interview. A lot of times, sometimes they just don't protect or serve. So,
go ahead.
No, you doing all this like you a producer behind the camera.
I was just going to say, the only thing I got to add to that is the Black community in Middletown is awesome. They're incredible. They embraced me from the time I was a little boy, growing up to the time I was a police chief, and they always took care of me. They always looked out for me. They always had my back. So, and I talk about that in the book too. It's just, I'll never go against the Black because they've always had my back. Always. Even when they didn't want to have my back, they had my back. And so I have a loyalty to the Black community here that a lot of people don't have. Because when I was 15 years old trying to get some, dinner, and I'd go to a friend's house and I had nothing to eat, they'd feed me.
We're going to drink to that,
We got to drink to that. And since we were so good to you, you running for city council, so we got to hold you to that.
Right.
We was
yes,
good to you,
and we only want you on the council for a couple years before you go changing the police force nationally.
So we got to cheers to that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. It's just, I was blessed, man, and I know that, and that's why I don't take it lightly. And that's why I take it seriously, because I just, I've been treated good by the Black community, and I mean the white community too. I mean, don't get me wrong, they were great too, but the Black community was.
But they were great by default.
Yeah, they embraced me. They embraced me. They did, and it was something I'll never forget, and that's why I'm passionate about doing the right thing.
Yes.
So.
Plug the book again before we get out of here.
The book's on Amazon.
Book up.
I'm sorry. Where's the camera? The book's on Amazon, iTunes, and Audible. It's sold about 25,000 copies, so we're killing it. I hope you like it. Whether you love us or hate the police, I think you can get something out of it. I really do. But if you're in Middletown and I like you, I'll get you a free copy. If I don't like you, you got to pay for it.
I was going to say, like or not, pay for the book.
Right. So no, but it's and some of the money too from the sales, we're going to do we're going to give it to the shop with a cop, and what that is for kids that don't have anything at Christmas. We give them money, and the police take them shopping and take them to see Santa and all that stuff. So some of the proceeds of that, but we've made a killing off of it. But that wasn't the purpose. But we've been blessed with it. We've been excited about it. So
it's dope that you bring up Shop with a Cop, because I remember some of my friends who used to be have like both parents on drugs and stuff like that. They would be part of Shop with a Cop, and they'd be like kind of embarrassed. And I'm like, bro, like they taking you, they spending.
Nothing
like,
to be embarrassed about, man.
Like, don't be embarrassed about that.
It's such a great day for kids, man, and they get like $150 each going to shop. You know what the blessing is, man? You see these little kids go in. And I had one kid, I took a kid in there, like 50 kids, and he was like, and I'll make this quick, but he was like, I want to go look at the coats. And I said, man, get you some toys, dude. I said, let's go get you some PlayStation games or something. He goes like, no, my little sister don't have a coat. Yeah. And I was like, oh, man, damn. So, of course, we got him the coat, and then we took him, gave him another 150 because it was like the kid, he was like 8 years old, and he wanted to get his sister a coat. Right. So I was like, man, it just gets you in your feels. So, but that's kind of what we're doing. But I appreciate you guys. It's been awesome.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are good people, man. And I've had fun.
It's a different vibe. It's a different vibe. We drink. We have food. We have snacks.
Thank you for letting me give you my question.
I'm comfortable. We talk about stuff that other podcasts would never even think about.
I appreciate it.
And we act like ourselves.
I appreciate it.
I didn't get to get mad as I wanted to get, guys. But no, I'm joking. He's a good. I can't.
No, you can't really get mad.
I have been in some rooms with you that you've said some things that made me like.
That's okay though.
But
if we agree all the time, something's wrong, right?
I agree.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that hopefully others' opinion of you have been changed with this interview, as mine has, and regardless of what you may have done in the past, as long as you do, like you said, be better.
Yeah.
In the future,
we need to be better. Yeah.
I can't be mad at that. We will take you on the council for just a few years, but I really feel like
hold him accountable. My people,
definitely.
Everything that came on here and said. Y'all make sure y'all hold this man accountable.
I'm all about that. I'm all about that. I've never shied away from being accountable.
We all know that politics game. They say what you want to hear.
But you know, here's the thing though. The same stuff I'm saying now, I said before when I was the chief. Before I even thought I was going to run for council. So that ain't changed. And if you look back,
I was going back and forth with you on Facebook today. Like he running. This is all he's saying everything he supposed to say to get the vote. Look at he trying. I was definitely like he's saying all the right stuff right now. He running. He campaigning.
That's awesome.
Also, before we get out of here, here soon, like I've been telling y'all, we got merch on the way. We got the Cookout cups that Chucky was drinking out of. We got other household products, spatulas, tongs, aprons, kitchen walls and sinks and
we don't got napkins
like that.
Obviously.
Everything, but it's on its way. Patreon up coming soon. Shout out to Higher Faculty. These mics ain't cheap. These lights ain't cheap. This food and these drinks and these people that we bringing on here ain't cheap if we got to pay for their fare to get here. So make sure y'all be on the lookout for that.
And I made a friend with the chief after the fact, so my bill ain't cheap. I can't, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't got an inside at the police department or nothing.
That's awesome.
Chucky Russell, Jay Lee. I'm your host, Vuskeen, and this is the Cookout Podcast.
The world's most secure podcast.
We out.
Bye.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That was nice.
Yes.